Harley Quinn.
Hello, Monkeyians! Welcome back to my tutorial. Finally, it is the jacket. So, let's get straight into it. Alright, to start off with, you're going to copy a sweater that fits you pretty baggy because this is called a bolero style jacket. So you want to make sure it's decently baggy on you. And you're going to copy the back, but I suggest you fold the fabric in half and then copy it that way. So that way you can only just cut it out once. It'll be a lot easier that way. And make sure you only cut out half the size of your sweater, simply because the red is actually a lot shorter, so you actually want to do shorter than that. And then you're going to draw out the black. I suggest you make the black a lot longer because it's actually longer black than red on the bottom, and do the same thing, fold it in half and cut it. But I didn't realize that till I already got it to the sewing machine, so I'm going to be showing you a clip where I screwed it up and show you the correct piece. So, even I make mistakes at times, but it's okay. It's not that hard of a fix. Just all I did was literally cut the red a little shorter away from the seam line, because it's the top half of your armpit is going to be red and then the rest of it's going to be black. That's the easiest way for me to describe it. So literally just a fourth of this tiny bolero jacket is going to be red compared to the rest that's going to be black. If that makes sense. You'll see what I'm talking about here in a minute. And I would suggest, if you can, try to bobby pin it, so that way you don't have to worry about the fabric moving. And here I am making the sleeves. Now her right sleeve is black, her left sleeve is red. And what I did is I fold the fabric in half, and on the fold I lined up my sweater sleeve and then copied it. That way I only had to sew one side shut. So that's what I did, and I just copied the red similar to the black, so that way they were symmetrical. So that's the easiest way to do sleeves. And remember, make sure your right side is black, because if it's not, the jacket will be wrong. It does matter. And here I am pinning up the sleeve, that way I don't have to worry about it moving later, and it's one less step I gotta do. And trim off any edges that do not line up, because that will mess up the jacket later. And this is where I was talking about, where I sewed it up already, because I sewed it all the way around, which you do not need to do that. And here I am about to recut the black fabric and make it longer, because I realized that I screwed up. So here's the actual correct thing you should copy, and as you can see, I start from the armpit and copy it, and then do the black. Because that's the best bet, because you're going to cut this armpit a lot shorter on the red. So, because you got to cut all that seam and everything off. So do not forget that, and make sure you get that right. And that's just a magnet strip that was on my floor vent. So you don't have to be fancy with it when you're trying to do straight lines. It just happened to be what was lying around, and that was straight. So that's what I used. And again, I would pin it before you cut it, so that way it's all even. And that way you're cutting it out all even. Because again, it's unfolded fabric. And I did it this time at a more diagonal angle, so that way the jacket could flare out a little better, like hers does. And there you go with the correct looking jacket. And you can see that the armpit is out a lot more. And the sides are very, very small, because this is only, like, goes a little bit past her boobs. So you're going to sew all that black down to the red. And make sure you leave a split in the front so you can add the zipper. And it's just a normal way you add a zipper. It's pretty simple. You can use either silver or gold. I just had gold lying around, so I literally just used gold. It looked better in my opinion. And now I am making the straps for the shoulders. And this is just decorative straps. It technically holds a piece of her holster in the future in one of the gear packs, and that's the whole purpose of it. But I wanted to make sure I had the shoulder straps because it is a huge part of this cosplay. So you really, really want to make sure you do these straps, because otherwise it can mess up your entire cosplay. And I was showing you that mine needs to be 2 inches wide and 5 inches height-wise. And I would suggest doing 4 strips, then sew them together. That way it's a little thicker, and that way it doesn't just flap everywhere, because that's where I messed up with my Dante's. I made the straps too thin. And there you go, just top stitch them. And you can turn them inside out if you want, either way. Top stitching looks really nice. And then here I am cutting the 3 holes. There's only 3 holes that you need to do, because half of it will be sewn to the shoulder to give off the effect that I'm talking about. Then this other half just sits there and flaps. It just runs everywhere, but it has 3 holes on each strap. And try to make them as even as possible if you can. Even use a hole puncher, that would be a lot easier. And here I am pinning it down right on the shoulder line. You'll want it right on top of the shoulders. And I pin it down on the sides, and then on the edge, and then I just top stitch it onto the actual jacket. And that's what it looks like. And now we're going to do the little V dip. I used a double stitcher. I forgot exactly what it's called, but this is how I set it up. So it worked, but it really does not like this fabric, and I'm using a walking foot for this fabric. Make sure you're using a walking foot. It's your best friend. And I used my super stitching, or my SS, I don't really know what that's called. I just call it super stitching because it has super stitches. And I used the 15 because you want to use the straight. You could probably just use a regular straight stitch, but I like these because they're a lot stronger. And that's what it looks like, because you want a black one at the top and then a red one right underneath it. And then you want to do 2 lines straight down the back around your shoulder blades. And now we're working on the actual collar, the neck collar. And all I did was get some thick interfacing and slapped it in between 2 red pleather. And there you go. And top stitch it down. And then you just attach it to the actual jacket around the neck. It's really simple. It's just like Dante if you're not sure. And that's really all I did for the neck piece. It's not that hard. It's pretty easy. It's self-explanatory. It helps hold up the jacket really well. And there you go. And the nice lines that you see, the straight lines, those happen naturally whenever I sewed it straight to the jacket. And now I'm showing you that we need to do the arms next. And the easiest way I found to do arms is if you have your fabric right side and then stick your arm sleeve inside out through the actual hole from the outside. That way, whenever you pin it on the inside, whenever you turn it inside out, it will actually be all in order, if that makes sense. Do this to both of your sleeves and sew them down. And after you sew those down, we're going to start working on the back, which is the bat painting. Now, I have these templates down in the description, and all you have to do is just go to my Facebook and download them. They should already be sized up, but I did mess up. I made it a little bat, because at the time that these were released, the bat was really, really small, but it actually spreads across past her shoulder blades. It goes from shoulder blade to shoulder blade, so it actually covers her entire back on the red. But I was not aware of this before the game came out. So if you want, you can make this bigger, but I made it smaller, and, you know, me and the kids did play, so, excuse me, it's not actually that bad. So, it's up to you as far as that goes, but for mine, I did it smaller because that's what the statue showed at the time. So, but if you want to be, as far as game accurate, it needs to go all the way from the arm, all the way to the other arm, if you can. And all you do is just tape it down there and paint it. And it took about 4 to 5 layers because I really wanted it to stick out. And after the first layer, I took off the template and just went around it and then put the lines in it all by myself. It's not really that hard to paint it. And now I have my jacket, but there's one little problem. My jacket wouldn't stay slanted down like hers. So I found this bra strap holder that's clear, and I figured, well, heck, why not just pin it down? And that way it's see-through and you can't tell that it's there. And also, it keeps that one side from flapping on its own because it likes to do that. So, it's one way to hold it down. And all I did was sew that down, and I just literally pull it over my head. It's not that hard. I would suggest, though, that if you put the cowl on, go from one side to the other before you fully put this jacket on. That way, you make sure you don't accidentally rip anything. But this is stretchy fabric, which you can get this fabric in the description down below. So there is that where you can get it. And I had to order it online, and it took about 2 to 4 weeks to get in. So make sure you time that properly. And there you see the pin where I put where it's at, and all I did was top stitch it down. So see, and that's what it looks like. It looks so pretty. Now we have one final detail left. You see that blue line? You're gonna paint right underneath that line. It needs to be a really dark maroon red. And that is it for the jacket. I will see y'all next time. Happy cosplaying!
Harley Quinn wins.
Thank you to all of my Patreon supporters for making all of these videos possible. To become a Patreon supporter, go to patreon.com/emonx060292 or look in the description or in the eye above. Thank you guys!
With this acorn shake, you could bake on it. Manicure, pedicure, kitty cat glows. The way she climbs up and down them poles, looking like one of those booty cat dolls. Come and go back through my jaw. Think I saw the things I saw the creeps behind me. She's like, yeah, and I'm like, I know. Let's cut to the chase. No time to waste. Back to my place. Up to the club, the dibs over a mile away, or more like a palace, shall I say, or more like a palace, shall I say.